It is the Monday morning after the San Francisco 49ers fall to the Los Angeles Rams. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. Talk about how we're feeling after we've slept on it. I was able to watch it back, so I have a couple more thoughts on some of the things that we saw in this particular game, but it's, uh, it's time. It's time. Let's talk about it all right now. You already know what to do. Drop an SDS in the chat. Let's work our way through this one, shall we?
Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it.
I like what James is calling this. He's calling this an SDS Recovery Monday, and I think that is appropriate considering the loss. So like I said in the beginning, I actually went back and I watched it because I was at the stadium. Sometimes you miss things. So going back and re-watching the condensed broadcast of that game, I felt worse watching because it was a reminder of how the 49ers should have won that game. And just watching it, like knowing the outcome, and then just watching the game slowly just slip through the cracks. I think that was one of the more challenging rewatches. Again, because you know the outcome. So you're watching the whole thing, and you're like, 49ers are playing pretty well. Oh, okay, they're good. They're good. They're in a good spot to come out with a win in this game. And then, start slipping. And then you're like, oh, no. It's like that one meme where it's like, I forget what movie it is, but it's like Matthew McConaughey. And he's like, he goes up to the window and he's in the spacesuit and he's like watching himself previously, like getting ready to go. I haven't seen the movie. I've just seen the meme, so I have no idea what the context is. But he's basically trying to warn himself, like, don't watch this. Like, no, don't do it. And that's kind of what it felt like. It just felt like that was a game that we should be talking about the San Francisco 49ers being 2-1, and I think that's probably the most frustrating element of this whole situation is that we are now talking to you and we have a big portion of the fan base up in arms and rightfully so after a loss like that. But I still think there's a couple things that do apply, and I see some of your guys' questions and stuff, so get your questions in. This is just going to be kind of like a free-for-all. I want to hear from you guys as well. But Anthony says, frustrated but not panicking. That's kind of how I felt yesterday. I felt like the loss was more frustrating than it was anything else because as we've talked about the context of it, these are the games that are actually it's going to hurt more in a couple months when it's time to determine are the 49ers still eligible for playoff seeding and what seeding are they going to have. That's when this game is going to hurt. This one stinks. But going back and rewatching it, I definitely have a better understanding of probably how you guys felt watching on the broadcast. Because I'm not going to lie, I was having a pretty good time for the majority of that game. I was vibing. I was in the stands, Levi South, having a good time, enjoying being around football. So I wasn't watching all the mistakes being replayed over and over again and watching the slow collapse like it did. It felt like the 49ers, while in the stadium, controlled the game, and then just at the very end, it just felt like it slipped away. So going back and rewatching it, I could definitely see. I didn't see in real time the Brandon Aiyuk play where he was open downfield and it looked like Brock Purdy passed him up and he kind of ran around. Wasn't really sure what, Baldy did a breakdown on it earlier, and you kind of see it looks like Brock was looking to go to BA in that scenario, but he kind of pulls off it. But again, that's what happens when you lose a game like that. You nitpick everything. You go back, and each individual play that wasn't a success becomes a talking point, becomes a critical evaluation of why they didn't win the game. Whereas if you win that game, it's more of like, oh, we'll be alert to this next time around. Thankfully, it didn't ultimately bite us in the rear end, but in this game, it did. It did bite them in the rear end, and again, also watching it back, it's also apparent that it was all three phases. Like, that was a team loss, and typically when we talk about this team and when they're playing at their best, all three phases are working together. And they're doing good things, and we talk about how it's a team win. Well, this one felt like a team loss. There was multiple opportunities that were either passed up, weren't realized, or just mistakes were made on all three levels. I mean, you think about them being able to buy another drive with the fake punt. That one stinks, missing that field goal by Moody. The return after I can't remember the sequence of when that return happened, but it was a guy it was literally his first time touching the football in the NFL, and he returns it beyond our 50. And it's just like those things stand out. Obviously, not being able to stop Kyron Williams, him having a day, not being able to stop guys like Tutu Atwell. It just felt like a team loss for sure. And then obviously, a lot of focus on Ronnie Bell, a lot of focus on Brandon Aiyuk, and the kind of lacking from those two. So brutal. I don't think there's any coincidence that I woke up this morning, my back was hurting. My back, I've got a old offensive lineman back. That thing will lock up on me. I've been doing good for a couple months, like a long time. And I woke up this morning and my back locked up. And I was like, is this Niner-related stress? So, again, I think this is where a lot of fans are at. Do we panic? Is it time to burn it all down and rebuild, tear down the foundation, rebuild? I think that's where a lot of fans are either they believe it's time to panic, or they're questioning if, damn, is it really that bad? The way that I'm looking at it is, although this is not how you wanted to start, you didn't want to start down 2 games in the NFC. You're down 1 game in division. Not ideal. It's definitely not what you were looking for. But in regards to overall panic, I was saying this last night on stream. If the 49ers lose to the Patriots next week, I will be panicking. I will be just like everyone else, screaming from the mountaintops like, oh my gosh, what's going on to the team that I once loved. You know what I'm saying? So there's still time to turn this around. Obviously, you played without 3 of your best players in this game. Even without those 3 best players, still could have won the game, still should have won the game. because Brock Purdy, for the most part, had a hell of a game. Juwan Jennings went nuclear. Jordan Mason was running well. They still should have won this game. So the way that I'm looking at it is it's too early to panic because, again, I keep referencing the 2021 season where the 49ers, they started out 2-0 and then they lost 4 straight. That was also the same year that a lot of fans wanted DeMeco Ryans fired in his rookie season as the defensive coordinator. During that 4-game stretch where they lost those games. And then they had a deciding game that was in Chicago against Justin Fields. And as it felt like Jimmy Garoppolo is going to get benched, Deebo Samuel takes a tunnel screen, 75 yards for a touchdown before halftime. And that play ignited a team. It ignited not only the ability to get the win in that game, but that's when they started clicking. It literally took until week 8 of the 2021 season for the 49ers to get their crap together. So that's my justification of thinking that you have a lot of your same core group guys here. A lot of those core group guys, you think of Deebo, you think of Kittle, who were imperative in turning that season around in 2021. They're not here right now. And Drake Greenlaw's not here right now. You're still down guys. Obviously, the defensive line, I don't think is fully where we want it to be. But the thing that is stopping me from, I feel like I'm that meme, right? Where it's like the guy's like wiping the sweat off his brow and it's like panic, not panic. And you're like trying to decide which one to press. For me, I don't think it's time to hit the panic button, but it's time to look yourself in the mirror and really figure out, like, all right, things aren't working. And we now have 3 weeks of tape, and we either got to make some corrections or we got to make some changes. Those are the only options, because if the 49ers keep doing the same thing and they show up and they put up a dud against the Patriots and they get, surprised by the Patriots and they fall and they lose 3 in a row, this fan base is you're going to have a mutiny on your hands. So what you have to do as a team is you have to have the difficult, honest conversations of how you need to get better and how you need to improve. And you can't lose to the Patriots. You can't. You just really can't. So, but the way that I'm looking at it is it's too early to panic. It just is. It's too early. So I think, again, that's why we keep talking about it's very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. It's even disappointing how they lost this game. But I don't think it's time to panic yet. You can be critical and you can be upset and you can look at this performance and be like, this performance wasn't good enough, and you will be right, because they will say the exact same thing. They're having those same conversations in this locker room. This is an unacceptable performance. This isn't how we get back to the Super Bowl. This isn't what it is. This isn't the recipe. We're failing right now. We're failing the task. Now, thankfully, again, it's a marathon and it's not a sprint. And we've seen the 49ers put their back against the wall and fight their way out. So I'm not going to sit here and say that that's what we have in this team, because we don't know. Each team is built differently. Each team has its own DNA. And I think with this year, through 3 games, we don't know what this team is. Right now, we haven't seen, the New York Jets game. They played good in all 3 phases, but I also remember doing our breakdown and saying there's still a lot of things that need to be corrected in all three phases, even in that win against the Jets. It was a good opening game win, a little sloppy, but they were able to take down an inferior team. And now they've played against two really well-coached teams, and they've gotten bitten. They've gotten bitten in the rear. And when you meet the right combination of talent and coaching, it can sway things. So for me, I don't think it's time to panic, but I do think it's time to look yourself in the mirror and have those hard conversations of things need to be fixed. There are things that are things that are working. There are things that are not. We have to shorten the gap, and we have to shift things towards keep performing, executing well, and staying away from the things that just aren't working. Brandon says, you still making excuses and coping for BA, or you wake up? I'm awake. I don't think BA played his best game at all. I don't think, I said this last night on the stream, I don't get the feeling that BA is the BA that we've come to know and expect. I think that through the first 3 weeks of the season, I think he has to play better. And that doesn't even have anything to do with like, oh, he's getting paid this, he's getting paid that. Just from what we've come to know and expect from BA, and what I think BA expects from himself, needs to play better. I think of that one throw that it was a little behind him, but it hit him right in the hands, and he dropped it. And I was like, oh, it just, the energy doesn't feel right. I've talked about this before. I say I scout on vibes, like, but that's not that's not just me saying something. I think a huge part of player evaluation isn't just being able to be like, oh, that guy can run fast, he can jump high, he's strong, he's powerful. It's how you interpret body language. And being able to interpret body language is a form of psychoanalysis. It's trying to analyze someone's body language through the point of trying to understand how they're thinking, what's going on inside of them, what's in their head, and what you're seeing come out via energy through body language and things like that. I'm not seeing that energy from BA. I'm not seeing that dog. You know what we talk about all the time? We say BA got that dog in him. I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that same energy. And I think when you are analyzing BA and how he's playing, it's either a lack of confidence, it's, obviously the offseason stuff rolling into this year, but I'm just not seeing the same guy. So there's no excuses. There's no coping. It is what it is. It's a reality of the situation. You miss training camp. There's going to be issues. We talked about this before he missed training camp. We said this is why we don't want this to go in to training camp, is because if BA misses training camp, it's going to roll into the season. So we knew that before this even occurred. So as it's occurring, it's not an excuse. It's a continuation of what we said even before we got to training camp. So the same thing applies. Is you hold out a training camp, you're losing out on a lot of stuff. And there's a reason why Brandon Aiyuk was the best player at training camp the past 2 seasons prior to this last one, and he was arguably one of the best players on the team those 2 seasons. Now he misses training camp, and he's off. It's a very simple explanation. but it's not an excuse because he can't. He unfortunately he's now, I think, kind of run out of that built-in leash, right? Is you know he was going to be rusty, like we knew that. But now heading into week 4, it's not something that we can say like, oh, he's rusty. It's like, no, we have to. It's everyone. It's you're a month into the season almost. I think it's time that. Oh, we'll get to that one in a second. Brandon says, "Do you see any changes at center when Feliciano gets back, or do we ride with Brendel?" I haven't watched the tape back yet today, but I do think we could see Feliciano enter in at center. So again, like I said, I don't have a good read on how Brendel played because I haven't been able to go back and watch it yet. But I already wasn't, very high on how Brendel has played through the first 2 weeks. So if I get into the tape and it's kind of more of the same, then I would say that there is a potential that Feliciano does, but I do think Brendel will get every single opportunity to get it corrected. But I think there's only a couple more weeks left before the 49ers have to start, again, taking a look in the mirror and trying to figure out their best path forward. Appreciate detail for the super sticker and the super chat. Says, at what point does BA need to be held accountable for his play? The same way we hold owners accountable for paying our guys. I think right now, I think we can all hold BA accountable for how he's played. I think there's good moments, there's bad moments. But yeah, I think we all get it. I think we all, I think, and himself included, believes he needs to get to that level that he was at, and he's not there right now. So I think all these guys can be held accountable for how they play. That's the beauty of football, is that you put it on tape, and then what you put on tape is how I believe you should be judged. You should be judged for how you play. I know a lot of people will cherry pick narratives or cherry pick what they think or what they feel, and it might not be totally rooted in reality. But I think the ultimate thing you can do for any player is hold them accountable to their tape. What does the tape say? And the tape says is that Brandon isn't playing like we have seen for the last 2 seasons. So yes, I do believe he can and should be held accountable, just like every other player should be held accountable, because that's the nature of the business, right? It's the nature of football. This sport is so big now. You have so many eyes on it. There's so much riding on these games. Not only for fans, but for sponsors, for so many different things. So I think more than ever, these players are being held to a much higher standard, because each play is either you're a hero or you're a scab. Like I popped over to Ronnie Bell's Instagram last night, and you go to his most recent post, and it's just people just just dogging him in his comments, just absolutely, saying unfortunate things. But it's the nature of the business. If you make plays, you get celebrated. If you don't make plays, you get dogged. And I guess, that it comes with the territory. It's not even about like, oh, fans shouldn't be like this or whatever. It is what it is. Like, there's no getting away from it. I think I saw someone like tweeted at one of the players' moms last night. Like, it's classless, but it's unfortunately a part of the discourse. It's a part of the expectation. It's a part of the stakes of these games. It's if you play well, you're going to hear about it, man. If you don't play well, you're absolutely going to hear about it. So I just, for me, in my analysis, I don't like to stoop to those levels. I like to keep it about ball. I like to talk about what I see on the field, what I think needs to get better, what I think can be improved, and where there might be some issues. But there's just an unfortunate natures. There's no balance. There's less balanced takes. There's less balanced thoughts. There's less balanced conversations about why these struggles happen, why these things occurred. People just get so upset and they get so in their feelings that they just start saying and doing outlandish things. And it creates an environment where, at a certain point, players have to like shut off from social media, because a huge part of success in the NFL is determined based on, confidence. And if you listen to social media can kill your confidence in 2 seconds, because you don't have people who are interested in watching the tape. You don't have people who are interested in understanding why there were breakdowns. They just want to vent. They just want to yell. They want to point the finger at someone. And unfortunately, I know a lot of people sometimes, especially after games, they'll get in my chat and they'll start yelling at me because I don't carry that same energy. And it's just, I never will. I will never carry that type of energy after a football game. After, I can get frustrated. You guys saw me. I would get really frustrated with Josh Norman, right, back in the day. Just something about Josh Norman I didn't vibe with. I didn't like the way he played. I didn't like his energy. I thought he was a dirty player. I didn't like Josh Norman. But I try to keep it about ball at the end of the day. Like, I try to keep it about what happens in between the white lines. And sometimes we have an environment of communication around the sport where it goes far beyond that. So I think accountability can happen in a way where you objectively talk about what happens on the field, opposed to holding people accountable by taking shots at them, at their family, things like that. Those are the things that I'm not a big fan of. But again, it's a tough situation. The thing with Bell is concerning, because I'm seeing two different players. I see a player in training camp where he made that comeback catch that he dropped in that game 1,000,000 times. That's why when we were having the conversations about who's making the roster, I was pretty adamant that Bell is going to make the roster because I watched him in practice. Now, the thing is it didn't translate to the preseason, remember? He was having a really rough preseason in the actual games. But I was like, well, I went to the practices and he was pretty damn solid in practice. And so that's why I was like, you know what? Yeah, he struggled in the preseason. But that comeback play, I've seen him make those catches day in, day out at training camp. Bell rarely dropped passes in training camp. So there's something about the lights being on that is messing with Bell. There's something about being in a game that I think he is pressing too much. He is doing too much mentally, because I've seen this guy make plays in practice, but when it comes to the game, it's like the lights are too bright. It's too much. And it wasn't just that drop. He had multiple drops. You know, I would say after his second or third drop, I probably wouldn't put Bell back in, you know, considering what we've seen from the preseason, him struggling with the same things. In this game, before that final play, he was struggling in the same area. So I think I probably, and it's much easier for me to say as, you know, a casual observer on the outside, but I probably wouldn't have put Bell in that scenario, because I would have said, man, see, the game's on the line. You got to have this catch. Bell hasn't proven to me, not only in preseason, the regular season, in this game, that he's going to be able to come up with the football. So, you know, but again, the 49ers are down. I think they have a much different view of Bell for the similar reasons like I talked about. When he is making those plays in practice, like you have a confidence in a player. You see it every day. But then it's like, okay, the lights are bright, go execute, go do it, and it doesn't happen. And that's what everyone else sees. And so I don't know. There's something with Bell mentally right now, and it's a very similar thing. Like with BA, like both these guys are talented. The issue isn't the talent. That's not where their issue lies. The issue lies is with the sports psychology. There's something going on with the pressure that they're putting on themselves, and they're not playing free. They're not playing. They're not vibing. I don't feel like they're in the flow of the game. It's like the flow of the game takes them over. And as a result of that, they're pressing, they're over-analyzing, they're thinking too much. And I think when you're thinking too much as a player, that's when you make mistakes. That's when you drop easy catches. Your mind is going a mile a minute, and it perfects your physical performance. And so when I look at those two guys, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at that as what they're dealing with. So the hope is that, right, you keep working on that, you keep attacking, and you stay off social media. you isolate, and you continue to get better, and that's all you can do. It's all you can do. You gotta keep going, man. So my thing is with this is one of the reasons why I don't like counting players out like Bell early on is because I've seen crazier things in the NFL where Bell could make the play that saves our season at the end of the year. Did you see that, Bell? You see that? Even StreamYard wants you to do well. So that's the thing. Bell, if he stays on this roster and they keep believing in him and they give him more opportunities, I've seen crazier things where that guy that we've counted out actually contributes to the team going crazy. So we'll see. Dude, I got no idea where that came from. But I would say in the short term, maybe try someone else out than Bell. Give Bell some time because I think he needs some time to kind of get back on track. So I'm not saying keep throwing him out there, all that stuff. So I'm gonna watch the tape probably on my flight home. Probably going to be light content today for the most part, just because I'm about to get out of my hotel room right about now. And but I didn't want to come on, do like a Monday at like the next Monday. How do we feel? How do we feel? Well, we did win week 1 pretty convincingly. I would say after week 1, everyone thought we were on track. And then I would say we aren't on track right now. I miss those. I miss Victory Mondays. But again, I can't say I haven't been here before. So that's why I think I can talk about the frustrations from this game and them being real. But there's still time. There's still time for them to figure this out. There's still time to get back on track. I know no one wants to hear that. I think everyone wants me to say everyone should be fired and cut Ronnie and cut BA and cut Hargrave and just get rid of everyone. But unfortunately, getting rid of everyone doesn't help this team win. And if the 49ers want to win, they have to take those same guys who might be struggling right now and keep pushing forward. So, again, if the 49ers lose to the Patriots, then we can have a different conversation. But right now, that to me was a game they should have won, and they let it slide. They let it slide, and that's on them. That's their fault. The only reason they're more responsible for the Rams winning than the Rams are, if that makes sense. So that's the beauty in that. The beauty in being more responsible for the Rams winning than the Rams themselves means that if you take care of business and you take care of your responsibilities and you do what you're supposed to do, you win football games. So they lost that game because they didn't do what they should and could have done. So you can correct that. It's not like they got overmatched, outplayed, or well, they did get outplayed. They lost, but I think you get what I'm saying. So the panic meter, it's jumping a little bit. It's jumping a little bit, but I'm not. No, I'm talking through my AirPods. I'm on my iPad right now. But all right, guys, I got to get out of here. I got to go catch a flight, go do all that good stuff, get back to the Bay. I'm going to watch the tape, do all that good stuff. But it's not over yet. It's not over yet. I get it. It's not a popular sentiment, but I do believe it's the right sentiment. I don't think it's what you want to hear, but I think it's what you need to hear. I do believe that it's not over yet. That doesn't mean things change in a week and then I change my thoughts. But as I currently sit here Monday after, rewatch the game, looking at how we lost, seeing again what happened, it's not over yet. It's not. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine. Just remember me. Just remember me if the 49ers go on a little run and they get that momentum back and they start gelling a little bit, just remember me. And if they don't, I will be the first to say, hey, it's over. But it's not over yet. It's not. It's not over until the ginger bearded big boy sings. That's when it's over. When I start singing, then it'll be over. But it's not over yet. It's always darkest before the dawn. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. We'll do all the film breakdowns this week because I want to see and we'll talk about it. So appreciate everyone tapping in on this Monday after. Drop an SDS in the chat. Or no, we already did that. Smash the like button. That's what we do. And I'll see you guys. We'll do a live tomorrow. Probably do some film breakdowns, stuff like that. Peace.
Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it.